Thank you very, very much. I appreciate your presence.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. This has been quite a year.
Has.
It has. And I'm very, very grateful for the whole thing. So this will be the last podcast that I record this year. Shout out to you.
I'm
honored. So, I remember being a kid and realizing that I had a self-perception, that I had an identity that was one of one, among my family, among my friends, among my classmates. How early would you say that you realized your self-perception, and what did that look like?
It's interesting because I think I have two answers. So initially, what I felt about myself is what I was told, right?
What were you told?
And then it's just, you're very bright, you're very talented, you're a good writer. So I used to write stories that too. But, I think it was just, I believed it because they told me. Okay. But not totally because I believed it myself. It was just, they said it got to be right.
Yeah.
I think I started to, it probably was much later, like 25. Yeah, it was much later. Because I think I hit myself a lot. I wasn't really sure. But I think where I really started to be like, yeah, this me, this is who I am, I'm cool with it, probably was like 25.
Okay. And what did
I was stumbling around trying to figure it out, but yeah.
What did 25-year-old Aleia look like?
Oh, she was bad. No, I mean, she was, but I mean, own place, a really good salary for a young person. I think, so maybe it was a little bit earlier than that. Maybe, no, it probably was like 25. Because I had moved out and then I lost my job. So then I kind of was like, I don't know. And Shorty was like, I think you really need to think about whether you really want to move back, because this is like one of those defining moments where, you want to be an adult. It's an adult situation. You got to handle it like that. You want your parents to see you as an adult.
Yeah.
Figure it out. And I think just all of that, that whole process really helped me to grow up and be like, okay, so this is who Aleia is and who I really want to be.
Yeah.
Really standing on my own too. I think that might have also been around the time that I told my mom no to something that she wanted me to do. And I really felt like, you can't tell me to do it. And I know you can't. And I'm exercising my right to say no. And for me, that was like, forever, that's my mom, just whatever she say. I don't feel like doing it. I'm going to do it. This one time I was just like, nah. I'm not doing that, Mom. So yeah, that was the time where I was just like, and then even after I did, I was like, ain't no hand coming across. But yeah, I think that was the point where I really was like,
yeah, there's something about the experience of doing something that is ultimately right, but it goes against the preconceived notions of right. So it's like there's discomfort but not guilt, because it's not wrong.
Right.
It's just like, I don't feel comfortable about this, doesn't feel easy, but it's not guilt attached to it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't feel like that thing is owed. It's just, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Man, it's so bugged out to me how many things are so like pivotal and critical and bullet points in life that don't get noted You know what I mean? And if we were made more aware to chart our own stories as they go, how much of an impact that would have on our progression and our,
Well, I think for
development.
me, because always writing,
Yeah.
I did journal. I kept, when I was younger, I had a diary with the lock, and then it was the digital little diary, and then I went back to pen and paper. So I kind of have documented my growth and development, and I still have those notebooks.
Yeah.
So not all of them, but I can still go back to a time and just kind of read and see where I was and be like, oh, Aleia.
Yeah.
You're going to do so well later. Don't worry about this, but just kind of see.
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see my own growth and like just where my head was and the things I was worried about. It's just like, girl.
Right.
But at the time,
Yes. Yeah, there's so, like, I think about, certain things in my life that it took time and space and distance for me to really identify and recognize what was happening and the impact of what was happening. I think about my mentors. I didn't quite realize that I was developing a succession of mentors, and I only ever had one at a time. But the one that I had was so critical for that time period in my life and my maturity at the time and my development in that window. And the type of friends that I've had, like, I have different types of friends at different points of my life and as I matured. And so now I'm more mindful of like analysis of my friends and what I'm giving and what I'm receiving in these friendships. I had a conversation with my boy once, and he was telling me about like a friend of his who referred to him as their best friend, and he was kind of thrown off about it. It was like,
you're not mine.
We're not. You're not mine. and he didn't know that there was that, it was at that level at all. And I realized that I've had similar experiences where people would refer to me that way or, tell me about the bond we had. And I was just like, I was not aware that this was the case. But I remember saying to him, like, I learned friendship as a matter of proximity and interest as a child. So it's like I have friends because they live near me, or we go to the same place of worship, same school, you know what I mean? And we have the same interests, right? And then as you mature and into adulthood, it's like those things aren't the anchors to your friendship. Like sometimes you're somebody's best friend because of just the quality of your friendship is top notch among their peer group. And that's what it is. And you don't have to spend a lot of time around each other all the time. You don't have to be in close proximity. You don't have to have the same interests. But what you do for them by way of the quality of your friendship puts you in that stratosphere of the best. And so when I think about that in terms of the people who are my friends, it's like I can organize and arrange, this in a different way. You know what I mean? And in a way that I'm much more appreciative and grateful for whatever I get from so-and-so, and not use that as fuel to like, all right, well, let's spend more time together, or let's do more things together, or let's,
It's so interesting. I too categorize, but I stop. I mean, I know sometimes it's just easy to say, oh, that's my friend, that's my friend, that's my friend. I stopped saying that. You know, I'll say like, you know, an acquaintance of mine, somebody I'm cool with, but like I use the term friend for people that I consider myself close with.
Yeah.
Just because you know, I never really had a whole lot of girlfriends. I always felt like I wanted to have that. But by nature of growing up in the projects, but you know, my parents making it feel like home, so it wasn't like I was out just running wild totally. Right. And then we moved, so the kids I knew over there, when I moved over here, it was a whole new group. And then after, like for high school, I lived in Newark, but I wasn't going to school in Newark. And then we moved again, and I wasn't going to school there. I was going, you know, to school somewhere else. So it's kind of like I never really totally established those type of relationships until I had one friend since fourth grade. And then and we're still friends. And then, you know, college, it was like pockets of people. We're not close anymore. Yeah. And normally the people you cool with in college is like, you know, and it wasn't until after I graduated and I started working a job, and then these young ladies worked under me, and now we've been friends for 20 years. And then, you know, I don't know why I always felt like I wanted to be the girl who could like travel with the big group of girlfriends, and that just was never, well, one, because I would always find out people would think I was like conceited. And I'm like, really? And I know that I got like the standing bitch face, and you know, if I'm just chilling, I'm just like, no, I'm cool. I'm just, you know. And then when you know me, I'm silly and goofy. But if I'm not cool with you like that, you're not getting that. So I could see how some girls might feel that way, but it wasn't like, it was just like, I don't want to do that. I ain't gonna do that. Or I'm really closed off and shy, so I'm just standing in the cut, just observing. But I, you know, I was never gonna be like the loud one. Right. And then, you know, I was just kind of like, dang, man, because I just had these weird experiences with people that I thought were like, I was a good friend to them, but they weren't necessarily a good friend to me, and it just kind of, and I was just like, man, I really want to just meet some cool people. So then again, like after that 25, maybe a little later after that, I joined Leadership Newark. Right. And there I met people that I can say I still have friendships with, you know. But I didn't always have that. Yeah. I had a big family though, so that kind of, I got all these cousins. I don't really know friends because I see them at church. I go to their house. And so it kind of was like, whatever.
Lately, I am having this realization of like just internally re-establishing for myself my friendships. Because like, you know, some friendships move out of pocket. And it's not that there's enmity or, you know, animosity or any city, but it's just, this isn't that, and I'm not him anymore. And maybe they're not them anymore, you know?
You just outgrow people.
Yeah, or like the bond may still exist, but not the contract has expired, so to speak. So it's like the love is there, the respect, the regard is there, but yeah, the growth has moved in different directions, and also being the best friend to me allows me to put people in their appropriate place. Because, like, you know how, like, if your friend tells you about how somebody else is treating them, you don't go for no bullshit on that. So it's like, I have to be that to me so that when I look at so-and-so or my friendship with that person or this person, it's like, I befriend me in a way that I don't go for the, you know, what's the word that's always thrown around now? The bare minimum.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to actually be doing for the sake of this friendship and for the sake of the person that I am. And I have to be doing the same thing. Like, I can't just autopilot or cruise control my side of it either. But I say that to say it's such an interesting thing. Like, I think ultimately there is this idea that is put on us that at a certain point of adulthood, things just coast. They don't require constant maintenance, constant, refining and retooling and reestablishing, and it's constant for your whole life. Like, it's always going to be this, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's nobody's at fault for giving you something to address, because you're alive. You got to address your life for your whole life. So it's like, we just don't want problems from our loved ones. We want all our problems to come from our enemies. And it's like, all right, well, how many enemies you want? Because, like, that's not really a sustainable model either. Yeah. But the friendship thing is really, really especially interesting. Like, as I've aged and matured into, whatever this is, middle age or what have you. And seeing what it is and seeing what it's not, and not being mad at what it's not. Just being cognizant that I just had a picture in my mind. You know what I mean? And that's all. And the picture in my mind is I'm never really watching me in that moment. You know what I mean? Like, in the picture, I'm just standing in the center of the universe and everything is happening around me or happening to me or whatever. But, like, I'm not seeing that in my mind of, like, how do I play out my role, you know what I mean, in that picture. So yeah, that's been really interesting and trippy and rewarding lately.
Am I your best friend?
Absolutely not.
You done been in my house. You done ate my cake. No, it's good.
You are a great friend to me. But I am my best friend.
Best friends are hard to come by.
Say again?
Best friends are hard to come by.
Yeah. Especially when we have made real choices and priorities and commitments in our individual lives. That it's like, you don't just get to topple over these things. Like, it ain't that convenient. You know what I mean? But back to the, I can definitely evaluate and give my friendships a proper valuation based on what they are, respective of those priorities and commitments and choices that I've made and that you've made,
right.
or whoever those other people are. Yeah. Is there? I'm gonna steal this question from my boy Baiz, who has a dope podcast called Grown Man Shift that is amazing. You should definitely check that out. Would younger you be proud of you today?
She would. She is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. Because we had to go through some stuff to get here. And I think that my younger self is even surprised of all the things that I've been able to do, because it's like, the things you wish for, and then you get them and then you've even surpassed some of the things that you thought were possible. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
And I still have those moments where I pinch myself, and you know, it's not for like superficial things, but the things that I know when I was younger that were really important to me, that I'm just like, I can't believe it.
Yeah. Like I think about I don't want to give myself too much of a pass or permission from my younger self, like on the things that he expected or assumed. But now I'm also aware of like what I've done with what I had and what I didn't have that young me assumed I had or assumed everybody has. And it's like, and how important some of those things are that I went without, you know what I mean? And I think it's so important to constantly give yourself grace and accountability requirements. You know what I mean? Like not to any arbitrary picture or idea, but to what you know you are capable of and what you know your circumstances have been. And it's like there are people who have crumbled under less, and there are people who have bloomed and shined with less. So it's like, it's never about me compared to anybody else in any other circumstance, but having a better understanding and a clearer picture of who I am and what my circumstance and story and environment is helps tremendously.
Man, I just just thinking, like, I mean, I grew up in the projects. My mom was on drugs. My dad died of AIDS. There was a little bit of friction with my biological father's side of the family for a little bit. You know, that side of grandmother, grandfather, uncle dying consecutively. Just kind of feeling like, what's going to happen to me? Like, who am I going to become with, you know? I've written books, I've traveled, I've been on TV. It's just the things that I thought I wanted to do to actually do it. Like to say, I want to be an actress.
Right.
And I've been in plays.
Right.
I've been on TV. Like just things
Yeah.
You know, to say I've done it now is just kind of like I did it.
Right.
But at that time, it was like,
right.
Man, if I could do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
If I could write a book with my name on it.
Right.
And people could buy it.
Right.
And then to do it. Now it's just kind of like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
But at that time, it's just like, man, if I could do that.
Right. Yeah. And like, you know, for me, like finding out or getting to a age and a place in life where I was eventually told some of my family history that I had no idea was the case. I had no idea who the people are that I've come from and what they've done and how that shaped the family dynamic. I mean, because like, if I don't know about it, I don't know about it. But the environment is still the environment because they know about it. I'm not gonna just spill out all of my family's history, but like just the idea that there are so many things that are just like,
what?
I come out of that, and it's not so much a question of how to wrestle with it or deal with it, because it's not a thing I have to deal with, but it is a thing that informs my understanding and compassion for what I've come out of, even though I was ignorant of it. You know what I mean? And And I can apply it to my story presently and moving forward of like, because now I know about it, I'm aware that those brushstrokes are part of my picture too, you know? And I can use it as fuel. I can use it as reference. I can use it for a lot of different things. So it's given me like a lot of perspective on just how I see myself ultimately, and and the different ways in which I can charge myself with a new assignment or a new goal or new understanding and compassion and empathy, um, and also remove excuses. You know what I mean? Because like some of my siblings knew, so it's like I get to have more compassion for them because they were trying to get through it all, knowing about these things, and I'm happy go lucky. Like, what's the problem?
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's been really profound to help me shape my self-perception and my perception of my environment, and I hold space now for people having portions of their story that I don't know to be true, but it could very well be there. And not just the things that may be a part of my story, just like it could be whatever. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, it's been really, really helpful for that.
I could remember like being younger and with different things that happen, thinking like, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? Why does this have to be my reality?
Yeah.
You know, why did I have to be born here at this time, in this situation, or whatever?
Yeah.
And then later understanding or feeling like, I'm so glad that all of that is a part of my story because I got to see it unfold. And having that, it builds character if you don't allow it to affect you negatively. But I feel like everything that happens to us is not necessarily meant for us. It's meant for something that maybe you'll learn somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
But you have to go through it now because at another time later, you'll need it for something. If for nothing other than to be sitting across from a friend having a conversation about, I understand what it means to have a story.
Right.
Because we all do.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And just being able to relate to people in that way, I think I couldn't have understood it then, but just being adult now, like I understand that some of the things that happen in life is not necessarily happening to you, it's happening for you. But you don't always understand it. So it's just kind of like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But, you know, at some point, perhaps you do kind of understand and learn like, oh, okay. Because it might be you meet somebody else who they pops, whatever, or their mom or their, you know, just whatever. And it's like, yeah, no, I understand. I've been there.
Yeah. I think about like how I've seen it with other people and how the things that have happened to folks that are, you know, painful and heinous and traumatic are also significantly part of the reason why they have the empathy and compassion and patience that they have. And we don't get to subtract these things and still be the person we are. You know what I mean? Like I am the person that I am because of this entire recipe. All ingredients, all processes make this cake. And I don't get to be this without all of that. And it's not a matter of just because I'm awesome because I said so. It's like, no, I'm impacted by the cake pan and I'm an accumulation of these ingredients and an expression of this baking process. Like that's what it is. I don't get to, in retrospect, change any of these things. You know what I mean? And it does. It sounds crazy, but it does allow for gratitude for all of the things, because none of the things end with themselves. Like, it becomes the linchpin to Tehsuan is these attributes and characteristics that I happen to be. You know what I mean? And there are attributes and characteristics that I'm not, that I would like to be. It's like, yeah, but the ingredients don't make that person. It makes this person, you know? So, man, it's so humbling to like look at your story and accept it.
That's hard.
Yeah.
For some people to do.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you find people stuck, like in something that happened a long time ago that they have not been able to accept and move on from.
Yeah.
Forgetting it is totally optional.
Right.
But accepting the thing, like, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was. And I think that's the difference between, the people who have gone through something and they're able to grow from it versus those who have not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I only got me to deal with. Like, whatever anybody else is doing or not doing or whatever, like, all right, that's not really my concern.
Once I learned it was always only me versus me, it kind of helps to neutralize a lot of things.
Yeah.
And you don't take on other people's stuff. And I think, friendships, relationships, really help me. Or just how you interact with people. Just, you encounter a rude person. It's like, I ain't do nothing to you. I just walked into this place. I don't know what happened to you on the way here, the night before that you carrying. And okay. Yeah. Because I used to be the one like, oh, I feed off energy. So whatever you give me, I'm giving back. And now it's just kind of like, have a good day anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Or just trying to be extra nice just because I can.
Right.
I don't have to return that because I don't want to live in that. I don't want to, this one I want to give. If you want to accept it, okay.
Right.
You go ahead with that. Ugly energy.
Yeah. Because I don't want to just be something that ricochets off of other people's energy.
Because then everybody's controlling who you are.
Right.
And you're not in control of yourself. And self-mastery was something that, it's always like a work in progress.
Yeah.
But that's something that I really wanted to work on. Like really being in control of myself. And how I respond to things. You catch me on a good day, I might. But for the most part, I try to really be mindful of how I move and how I respond to things.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to teach that to my kids.
Yep.
And because that wasn't not by anybody's fault, but that wasn't really what was taught. It was almost like you give what you return what they give you.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody hit you, you hit them back, hit them back harder.
Right.
And, as opposed to, you could decide how you want to respond.
Right.
Like, I could smack you and maybe I would be within my right. Or I could show compassion, empathy, and say, like,
or I could devise a 20-year plan to destroy everything about
all of
you.
That. All of that. I don't have to touch you to destroy you. It's all about choices.
Yeah.
And really exercising that range.
Yeah.
But even that requires some self-control. Because you got to really be focused. If you really go plot out a 10-year plan to get back, you got to be focused and you got to have control to like see it through.
But and you gotta submit to staying that person for 20 years. Like,
that gotta be some type of grudge, boy.
Yeah.
Because I don't even be remembering stuff like that. I don't even know.
Right.
Something stupid.
Probably, right.
But because most of the time, you know, in the moment, you feel like this is the big thing. It's so important. And then later, it's just like, I don't even really know why we stopped talking. But just, I guess.
And it's like also, you know, I think back to like, in those moments, sometimes it's just a matter of like, I was sensitive to that experience at the time. If it happened to me today, it would wash off. Like it'd roll off my back. At that time, I was particularly sensitive to that experience. So it's not so much that the thing was as powerful. It's just I was sensitive. You know what I mean? I'm currently very much fascinated with and actuating two principles. One is radical optimism. One is joyful discipline. And I'm very much enjoying the rewards and the challenges that come with them, right? But like with any principle, the challenge is worth what it costs, and the rewards are beyond what I could pay myself in being less than that. You know what I mean? It's hard to be optimistic constantly as a principle. Like, it's hard to not just be optimistic if you see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, if you don't see it, where are you pulling optimism from? You know what I mean? It's like, well, if it's a principle, it's the same as where you pull loyalty from when you have an incentive to be disloyal. It's the same as where you pull patience from when something is on your last nerve. It's like the principle is not dependent on the circumstance.
Right.
You know what I mean? What are some of your principles, like presently, that are like they're your compass for who you want to be?
I think I am really trying to focus on, I'm trying to like think of it in terms of a phrase or something like that. I really am trying to focus on peace, not pieces. So the things that might have me up late at night or really spend a lot of time in my head rolling around before I just really trying to focus on being at peace. So being at peace with things I have no control over and being at peace with the things that I can. So I think really trying to quiet myself in the smallest of moments, even like how I respond to my children being annoying, or you know, how I respond when somebody cuts me off in traffic, because normally that would be a whole conversation in my car by myself because they can't hear me, but I'm still and now, you know, it's just kind of like, well, maybe they got somewhere they gotta be. You know, just really trying to be more at peace. And I think just with this year we've had, 2024, peace, not pieces, is really has been like my compass for the year.
To be at peace, not in pieces. I love that. I love that very much. You are somebody who I know to have a measure of ambition. What is your relationship with ambition?
So, I am an Aquarius.
Okay.
So, I want to save the world. I want everybody to get along. I also want to make a lot of money. And I have to temper that with like the money piece. I have to temper wanting a lot of money with not being ruled by money.
Right.
And there's a very fine line.
Yeah.
I have to kind of pace myself because, it's like I want to do this and then I want to do this and then I get bored and I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to focus on the things that I think I can have the most impact, regardless of whether it makes the most money. And that has now been the source of my ambition. Really just wanting to have an impact.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting to me, like ambition for me is also very much connected to my like self-confidence and self-belief. I've seen myself do amazing things. I've seen myself do amazing things with less self-belief. So like with the belief that I've accumulated since then, it's like, and the belief that it's not just about my power is not just a thing that is, it's not like I accumulate and then express and then accumulate and then express. It's like, I'm a vessel. I can just be accumulating and expressing at the same time. If I allow myself to be a wide mouth, available vessel, then I don't have to like gather it, hoard it, find a place to put it. Like all of that stuff is not part of the, formula. But I'm also reminded that at a certain point, it's just like entertainment and theater. Like it's not, if it's not for actual impact, it's like doing things that don't really matter just because they are theatrical and fantastic. And it's like an unimpactful, fantastic thing is like confetti. It's like, all right, but now what? Like, who benefited from that moment of confetti? You know what I mean? Like, past the moment, it does nothing for nobody. And I don't want to just be confetti, but I'm very much aware that I can.
I just had this thought, like, well, it's fun when it's coming down, but it also provides a job for all the people that got to clean it up. So it does have a purpose after its initial use.
If there are
to the person cleaning it up, if they get paid for it.
Right. But sometimes there isn't somebody whose job it is to clean it up. Sometimes it's just a mess that everybody got to live in now. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always because there was a parade and there were city workers who were like, all right, we know that after this parade, we got to come clean up the confetti. Like, sometimes you just...
I don't want to go off on a tangent about confetti, but that was just...
right. No, yeah, I dig it, though. You're right. You're right. But, like, for me, it's like, but I understand that that's not the... Like, even if that's the case, if I didn't do it with that in mind, like, even at the parade, like they don't decide to have confetti for the sake of the Department of Sanitation to give those guys purpose. Like, that's not why the confetti is there. You know what I mean? So like, I just want to be true to my abilities and gifts and power, and true to my vesselhood, so to speak. It's like, that's what I am. You know what I mean? So be that, like, receive greatly and pour out greatly. And whatever it is I hold it securely. But like, don't just be splashing, you know what I mean? Just cause, because I can make a fantastic mess. You know what I mean? And then gratitude. Like gratitude has become a principle that is very much in the forefront of my life and day-to-day mentality. And I remember talking to you about this before, but I'm gonna say it again. Like I realized that I've talked about this a few times, probably on this podcast and off. But I'm aware that my typical go-to process for making good choices is because I want a good future. And I'm very much interested in this paradigm shift where my desire to make a good choice comes from gratitude from my good past. And there are a succession and series of really, really good things that have happened to me and for me that allow me to be in this place to make a good choice. You know what I mean? Like I literally have the freedom to make a choice. There's a reason I have that freedom. There is a reason I'm not locked up without the ability to choose. You know what I mean? Do I want to eat fruit or do I want to eat a burger? Or you know what I mean, something that's not healthy for me. So gratitude is something for me that's becoming more and more of a leader than just the after effect, you know what I mean, for the good that happens. What's your relationship with gratitude?
I was gonna say that's really interesting because my mom would always say, all right, when you have kids, you're gonna get it back. So she would say that jokingly, but I took it literally. So I was like, if I'm going to get back what I give, I'm going to listen. I'm going to do what I have to do. I'm going to be a good person, much in the same way. I'm going to be intentional about what I do because whenever it's time to receive what I put out, I want to make sure I get good stuff. So I was really intentional about that. I mean, I kind of went to the left a couple times, but for the most part, nah, I don't want nothing bad coming back to me. So I'm just, and I think I said before, like I'm living in my prayers and my desires and my thoughts of yesterday. All the things that I wanted, that I hoped for, I'm living in it now. And sometimes, you know, speak for myself, if I'm not careful, I won't be paying attention to the now, and I'm looking for tomorrow and the future and not realizing like where you are in this very moment. At some point in the past, you was hoping and praying and working to be here. Be thankful for this moment. Because really, that's all you have. I don't know if I'm going to see tomorrow. Or the other tomorrows that I'm trying to get to and planning for. All I have is right now. And right now, in this moment, I am thankful for where I am because I knew at some point I wasn't here and I was hoping to be here. And so a lot of times I think when stuff starts getting crazy, I kind of focus back on that, on the now. Like, what are you thankful for right now in this moment? Because you have so much to be thankful for, and it's not even material things. So I think without necessarily being intentional about gratitude, I've always kind of walked in this state of gratitude and reciprocity. You know?
And then, you know, it's funny, I was thinking about this morning, like whatever things I consider to be my life I have to be very mindful not to include things that are just happening. You know what I mean? Because there are so many distractions. There are so many things that are just placed in front of me that I would have to participate or like include that in my story to be impacted by it. And like, for example, there was the drones over New Jersey, right? And not long ago, there was the balloon from China. And not long ago, there was the bridge in Maryland that was crashed into. And like, there's been so many things that were like, this thing isn't nothing, but it's not part of my life. And if you go by the water cooler talk or the news or, all of that stuff, it would seem like all of this stuff is part of my life when the vast majority of it is not. You know what I mean? And then even the things that are part of my life, there are so many things happening, and then I get to decide what things have my attention. So like you were saying before, like there's so many things to be grateful for that aren't material. And there are so many things to be grateful for that are material that like they lose their value in my mind because I'm used to them. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I got that. It's like, all right. But for as long as I have that, it's something to be really grateful for. Not because of any one particular reason, but because that thing is evidence of the intangible things. You know what I mean? But man, being a better police to my mentality and the way I allow myself to be in the audience of this whole thing. You know what I mean? There's parts of it. There is the me versus me part of it. Then there's other parts that are just I am in the audience in some aspects, but like, what shows am I watching?
I was just gonna say I have insulated myself in a way because, I mean, just if you take too much in, for myself, I get like sensory overload and it's just too much, and then I'm panicking, and it's just like,
yeah,
they ain't got nothing to do with you.
Right.
That's not affecting your day to day. I don't really watch the news. I'm very picky about the things I consume.
Yeah.
I don't really watch a whole lot of TV. It's a couple shows that I like, but just for my own mental sanity, and again, even with social media, sometimes it just seems like, if you wasn't watching the news, you still might catch something, and it just seemed like this year, in particular, it just seemed like boom, 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 like every month it's something. And it's just like, I was thinking about that meme, with the black lady and she be walking up the steps. It's like 3 steps and it says what she leaving behind.
Yeah.
I envision that thing and she like crawling up those steps, like, just get me out of 24. She ain't even stepping up with her bag. She's like just crawling, like, I'm just trying to get out this damn year.
Yeah.
It's been a year, but I really have tried to insulate myself and my family. Just because I remember one day I was taking my son to school and he was like, Mom, what if somebody tries to shoot me while I'm at school? And it's a reality. So I don't totally want to act like it doesn't happen.
Right.
But I don't want him to be focused on that.
Yeah.
So kind of trying to balance exposure to real things, but also limiting it so that it doesn't consume him.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. So I really try to insulate myself.
Yeah. Let me ask you this last question. What are you looking forward to in the near future?
Couple things. I am looking forward to, so one thing I'm looking forward to is traveling. It's something I did before I had children, and then it's like I had a baby, then I had another one right behind, and then just all the things with marriage and adulthood that happened. And I really, this year, I was just like, I'm going to take me a trip, a mommy trip, and I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to have as much fun as I want to have, just because I think that was important for me and a lot of moms out there. So I am looking forward to more of that. And I'm looking forward to just being more consistent with some of the things that I'm working on my podcast and YouTube, and getting healthier. That's really a focus of mine, and not just physically in my body, but that is something I'm very conscious of, because I don't know why I keep having these thoughts of like, well, I do know why. I don't want to leave my babies here prematurely. Not that I have any control. Well, I have a little bit of control in how I take care of my body, you know. But I really think about that a lot. Like, I don't want to leave my babies here.
Right.
So I really want to, I'm excited about the healthier me in the very near future. I'm really excited about that. And just, what's that book? Oh, The Places We Will Go. Just, I'm excited to see, you know, you can't make plans but I'm really excited to see how the things that I'm working on unfold, because a lot of times I think I'm going one way, and then opportunities just open up in a totally different way that I didn't expect. And I'm happy for. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to my own like self-actualization. I'm looking forward to my unfolding, and like how I show myself to myself, you know, like it's such a sweet, sweet moment when I amaze myself, when I impress myself, when I confirm myself. And I'm looking forward to a lot of that.
Can you feel yourself like growing up?
Yes.
I feel like at certain points or ages, I could feel myself going through those changes. And I don't mean necessarily hormonally, but just mentally. And I always heard it, but now being a woman in her 40s, just this extra amount of confidence that's like, baby, take it or leave it. But you got to be a big person to ride this ride. And just being so sure, much more sure and confident in myself. So I'm very excited about the woman I am
like
becoming.
Like and it's the becoming that is particularly the aspects of it that are me more readily having either healthier, better ideas and impulses, or taking actions quicker, or rebounding quicker, and not sinking so low into the depths when it's, you know, negative or what have you. But like realizing that I am today doing things, thinking things, saying things in a way that are evidence of growth. You know what I mean? Because like I know what I would have said 6 months ago, or what I would have thought 6 months ago, or how long I would have stayed in the funk 6 months ago. And seeing, for whatever reason, myself not be that person when there is no audience for this other than me. Like I'm the only one that's seeing this. You know what I mean? So I know it's true because it's just me. And like I'm seeing myself growing up. I'm seeing myself maturing and progressing and evolving and unfolding. And it's so sweet. It's the sweetest thing.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I am becoming that figure of wisdom, because I've had certain experiences. You've lived a little bit of life now, and it's kind of like you could see younger people and you could like tell the whole story. And it's just like, I already know how this going, and you got to find out on your own. But just being able to like chuckle at things young people say, it's just like, okay.
And the certainty.
It's like, oh, you think that's okay?
Right.
Yeah, but just having that sense of knowing now. And I remember, age is so funny. I remember being younger and thinking like, how, you read about, whoever, they didn't make this invention until whatever, or
Colonel
their
Sanders
business didn't flourish until much later. And it's like, how? They old at that point. And then being older now and understanding, like, when you're young, you have all this blind ambition. You just throwing spaghetti on the wall. This, you look up and something pop off and you can follow it through. Okay. But at that time, you just kind of trying to figure stuff out, hoping something happens, but you're not really sure.
Right.
And, with growth, it's kind of like you can be a lot more strategic. And your thought process behind things is different. So it would make sense why somebody could, finally reach that pinnacle or start to blossom in their whatever at that older age. It makes sense now. It didn't then, but it makes sense now. Like,
because like there's this pressure put on us that like the only window for it is in your 20s. You know what I mean? And like after your 20s, you're just gonna live out whatever you did.
If you ain't doing right, oh well. Right? You missed your mark. Right. Good chance.
It's like that window is not real. It's not real. And you're not you yet. Like you're just not you're not a minor. You're not, without accountability and responsibility and da-da-da. But it's like, but you're not you yet. You're still ultimately a child. Ultimately, you are a child. And it's not that you're a child like a 7-year-old is a child. But if you live to 80, at 20, you're not even...
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not even halfway. You're like...
Right.
And so, and everybody expects to live to 80, 90, 100.
At
like,
least,
you know what I mean? So like, if you really expect that, then in that, timeline, you're still a child at 20. Like you don't owe the world the rest of your life figured out at 20. You know what I mean? And and it's not just about figured out. It's like, it's the ability to experiment and chart new adventures and pivot and all these things. It's like you have all of this time to do all of these things, and you just get better and better at seeing opportunity, going within, changing your mind, and not being beholden to what you used to think or believe. It's like you get better at letting go of the old you. And thank God you do.
It's so interesting. I just was thinking like how they say what it takes like 10 years to be an expert at something.
Like 10,000 hours.
Right. Like imagine, what could you possibly be an expert in your 20s? Or even your 30s, because maybe towards the end of your 20s, you just started getting to the thing that you might do for another 10 years. I've changed careers so many times. It's like, well, I was an expert in that by that metric.
Right.
But.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
So just being able to constantly reinvent and choose who you want to be.
Yeah.
and be comfortable with all of it.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
It's all a gift.
It is.
Thank you, homie.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
I love this.
Yeah.